Hello, I'm Dr. Road. This battery case I've seen is the most luxurious among the ones I've reviewed. It has a cool battery indicator light and a high-gloss carbon texture. So cool. If you have a water bottle cage that is not specific to the Bafang frame, you can also use it on other bicycles. Now let's start making the battery pack. I'll explain the basic electrode polarity of the battery. The top surface is the positive electrode. The bottom surface, including the battery surface cylinder, is the negative electrode. The batteries with the highest and lowest voltage among the 60 ordered batteries will be kept as spare batteries. The remaining batteries will be used as power banks and will be removed for battery pack repairs. Insulating rings are attached to the positive electrode to protect the battery from overheating due to overcurrent. I will explain the battery parallel connection pattern. The batteries are arranged by connecting the same polarity. Connecting the same polarity is the parallel connection pattern. As much as possible, arrange the batteries in a 4 parallel 13 series pattern to maximize the number of series bridges. This is the basic serial arrangement of the batteries. Since the batteries are too long, let's slightly modify the arrangement. By using nickel sheets to connect the batteries in series, the series pattern is complete. This battery case can accommodate up to 52 volts and 14 series connections. I will be using a 13 series 48 volt configuration. Since the Bafang Ultramotor has a high output, we will use a BMS that can withstand a continuous current of 35 or more. I left some empty space because I will use a larger capacity BMS.
Great, perfect.
Cut the nickel sheet for spot welding. Start spot welding on side A. Now let's start spot welding on side B. If the nickel sheet falls onto the battery, there is a risk of a short circuit accident. Insulate the areas where welding is not done. By doing this, spot welding can be done safely. Attach Kapton tape to the surrounding batteries that will be connected next to protect them. Repeat this pattern to connect the batteries. Now let's start connecting the BMS connectors. This is the BMS battery balance connector. Please connect them in order, starting from the negative. Be careful not to mix up the order. If you connect them in the wrong order, the BMS will malfunction. Since the battery pack I'm making is 13 series, you need to connect the batteries up to number 13. Attach Kapton tape and insulating material to the location where the BMS will be installed. If you scratch the nickel sheet bridge where the balance cable will be connected, the solder will easily adhere. Now simply connect the balance connector cables in order. Now let's start connecting the positive power cable. I divided the power cable into 2 branches. Connect the positive power cable to the scratched nickel sheet bridge. Use 14 AWG wire. Use tweezers to flatten the wire securely. Attach Kapton tape below the balance connector cables to separate the nickel sheet and the wires. Perform the same procedure for connecting the balance cable on side B. This is the negative position of battery pack B. After all the balance cables are connected, please check the connection order. To check the battery pack or the voltage between serial cells during battery production, I will introduce the method of using a multimeter. First, set the multimeter to DC voltage mode, and you can easily measure the voltage between cells through the balance connector. By checking the left side voltage, you can verify if the battery pack balance cables are connected correctly. After assembling the battery pack, if it exceeds 4.2 volts or the voltage is not measured, you should check the balance connector cable connection order again. Be cautious of short circuits as the connector spacing is very narrow. It is recommended to use a magnifying glass or a loupe during testing. Using a battery monitoring tester ensures safe testing. All connections have been made in the correct order. I didn't install the USB module, so I cut the wires. The center pin of the DC charging connector is positive, and the outer pins are negative. For the discharge connector terminals, pre-tin and solder them, then split the wires into 2 branches and connect them. The center pin is not used. Since the BMS uses a shared charging and discharging method, you can connect the discharge and charge wires together. The charging connector has narrow pin spacing, so it's challenging to test. There is no sound, so it's well isolated. The glue gun protects the charging connector terminals with silicone. Connect the battery indicator wire to the discharge connector as well. Here is the wiring diagram. Unfortunately, the indicator on this battery pack, although very impressive, became so hot to the touch on the backside that it was concerning even when not in use. Due to the risk of case deformation and excessive energy wastage from the battery pack, we ultimately decided not to connect it. Insert the battery pack into the case. Connect the negative wire of the battery case to the BMS's C terminal. Connect the negative wire of the battery pack to the BMS's B terminal. Finally, connect the positive wire of the battery pack to the positive wire of the battery case. Slide the heat shrink tubing over the wires. Solder the wires. Slip on the heat shrink tubing and heat it to protect the wires. Connect the BMS balance connector last. To prevent the battery pack from shaking, cut and insert EVA sheets. Range the cables to prevent damage. The internal battery pack doesn't shake. Now secure the case completely using bolts. Perform a charging test using a watt meter, and it's complete. Was the video helpful? You can find more information in the Electric Bicycle Battery book. Subscribing and clicking the like button greatly supports video production. This was Dr. Road from Mobilant. Thank you.